Over the next two videos, we're going to talk about the different styles of openers that really work well in game, and a couple different styles of openers that really don't work well as well. So this video, I'm going to run you through all the different types of openers, and in the next video, we're going to talk about what openers you should be using if you're a beginner, what openers you should be using if you're intermediate, and what openers you should be using if you're advanced, and kind of why that distinction exists. Okay? But to start off with, I'm going to give you the openers, and I'm going to go from the absolute most direct to the most indirect. Okay? So we'll start with very, very direct openers that basically say, like, I have a penis, it's on offer, and it's in your face right now. To openers that say, like, I am, don't even know why I'm here, this clearly isn't man to woman, etc. And my argument would be that the extremely, extremely direct openers probably aren't very good for anybody, and probably nobody should use them. And the very, very extremely indirect openers, probably almost nobody should use either. But the openers in the middle are all kind of acceptable openers. And from there, which ones you decide to use is a little bit of a personal preference and a little bit based on your level in the game, right? When you're at a certain level, there are certain openers you really don't want to use because they'll kind of level you down. There are other openers you might not want to use because they are either too complex, too complicated, or maybe you could get them to work, but they would actually hurt your learning progression because there are other lessons you need to learn first. So we'll go through all of that in the next video. But right now, let's talk about the openers from direct to indirect. So the most absolute direct opener is like shocking direct, which is like, I want to put a baby in you. Not a big fan of this opener. It can work sometimes. When it does work, the girl obviously likes you a lot and she's responded to your directness, so things will progress very rapidly. But any girl that would have responded to that opener will respond to an opener that's a bit less direct and still go very, very well. Because the reason a girl would be responding to an opener like this would be because she already inherently likes you quite a bit. So I'm not a big fan of this incredibly extreme direct opener. I think it's too much. Basically, whenever you're being very direct, you're balancing risk and reward. So by being very direct, you're moving the interaction along quite a bit with the opener, which is nice, but you're also risking a lot of rejections. And that's the trade-off. And what you want to do is you don't want to be so direct that you're getting rejection, 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 and barely ever succeeding. On the other hand, you don't want to be so indirect that even after you've opened, you've made no progress, and you just have to open again within the interaction. So I believe these super direct openers are probably too direct, and probably almost nobody should be doing them. Okay? Then you have just basic direct openers. So basic direct openers are something like, hey, you're sexy, I wanted to talk to you. Hey, you're cute, I wanted to meet you. Those kind of opens. And I think they can be very, very good, especially at a beginner level, which we'll get into in the next video. But they can be very, very good. You do want to be careful with these openers because you're already giving a lot of your power away, not to overdo it. So don't be like, hey, you're cute, and I knew if I didn't come talk to you, I'd just be kicking myself for the next week because you're so gorgeous. Don't overdo it, right? You're already being direct. You're already showing that it's man to woman. Don't embellish too much, right? You just put it out there. Get done with it. Like I said in the last video, the point of the opener is just to open and get on to the next, okay? So that's one type of opener, is the very direct opener. I call that direct man to woman, where you're clearly indicating, I'm here, I wanted to meet you, I'm picking you up, and I'm putting my intentions out there. And the thing that can be good about this is that you aren't hiding your intentions. You're not being shy about your intentions. So especially if you are a guy who is a bit shy, or if you're a guy who's not very experienced with girls, this actually can make you come off almost like better than your established level, because it does show at least the level of confidence that you went direct. Okay, so that can be pretty good. Next level that's a little bit less direct is to say just a general compliment. So, hey, I love your hair, or hey, nice shirt, or that's a really interesting outfit you have going on, something like that. Those are all physical compliments. It can be just, I like your look. It can be, you seem like you would be interesting. Something like that indicates you are interested, but you haven't indicated sexual or man-to-woman interest yet. But you still are at least hinting at the fact that it could be man to woman. You're hinting at the fact that there's at least a reason why you're interested in them, and that you do have a desire to continue the conversation. And again, by indicating there's a desire to continue the conversation, the people that accept you and continue it, you're going to get into a nicer, softer landing, more easy to run conversation than you might with other types of openers. So that's the benefit here. The downside, again, is with anything that's fairly direct, you are going to end up with an interaction where you might get rejections right away. Okay? So the next level of directness, there's kind of two styles of opener that are kind of equivalent in terms of directness. The next is the push-pull, which is you are giving a compliment, but you're also taking it away at the same time. So like, you look so adorably dorky, or maybe I love your white girl dance moves, something like that, where there's maybe an implication that you're teasing them or an implication of a negative, but there's a compliment in there as well, or vice versa. The other opener that's kind of the same level is the observational opener, where you're just making an observation about them. Like, you look like such a tourist right now. Something like that, where you notice something, you make an observation, that sort of a thing. And then you can go on to tease them about that afterwards, and that's definitely within the realm. And for more advanced guys, I'd recommend continuing on to tease them after that kind of an opener. But the idea here is that you're essentially neutral, because you're either like completely neutral, as in you're not showing a ton of intent. It's interesting without being intentful in terms of the observational opener, or in terms of the push-pull, you're you're being intentful, you're being man to woman, you're being direct, but at the same time, you're also pulling away, right? You're giving a negative emotional spike at the same time, so it kind of is even on next. You have a positive and a negative that kind of even out to neutral. So either one of these is good in the sense that it's interesting and intriguing, and it's about the girl, so it's relevant, but you're not giving your power away to the same degree that you would be with the direct opens. The next more sort of indirect opener would be what I call the situational tease, or actually just teasing in general. But the problem with teasing in general is it's hard to have a universal tease that's just going to work across the board and isn't going to seem contrived. So usually for the tease to work, it needs to be situational. So if you notice the girl doing something silly, make fun of her for it. If she catches eye contact with you, you can tease her as though she was hitting on you or flirting with you, something like that. But you use something she did as a reason to start off teasing her. And now, whereas we started off with the very direct openers where you're actually like giving some of your power away and really indicating that you are interested in her from the get-go, with these teasing openers, she actually has to wonder if you're actually into her or if you're just fucking around with her. And she may even want to immediately start revalidating herself, may want to start chasing you. So that makes this type of opener very, very strong, very, very powerful. But because you are teasing, because it's relevant, it also does have some intentfulness. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about premise, exactly what intentfulness is and what establishes premise and what doesn't. But hold off on that for now. Okay, but so this one, you're being less direct, but you're still being very, very engaging, and you're still making it personal to her, which makes it makes it relevant and makes her want to engage with it. And then to go a step further, more indirect would be like the opinion opener, just asking the girl's opinion on something. For this, we'll use oftentimes like a chick crack topic, maybe like a chick crack, like topics that girls like to talk about. That's what that means. But basically, something along the lines of asking about relationships, asking about something pop culture that's girl relevant, something like that that just engages them in a conversation, can be very, very good. The downside of this opener is that most guys, when they do it, they end up in this like lengthy conversation about the opinion they asked, and they never actually get to the point of making it man to woman. They never get to the point of having a real conversation with the person in front of them. They just have a conversation about this one topic, especially if the opener is good. Because if the opener is good, it's very easy to rely on it as a crutch. And so I really don't like this kind of opener for a beginner, because either they're going to end up in a platonic conversation where they have no control and things aren't moving in the right direction, or they're going to learn to use this type of opener as a crutch, and they're going to necessarily not learn the skills that they should be learning in other areas. But this can be a decent opener for an advanced guy. And then finally, if you go even further with the opinion theme, you can have openers that are completely impersonal, like just asking directions somewhere or something like that, which I think is a terrible opener, because well, first of all, directions is the worst opener ever, because if you ask directions, they're going to tell you to get away, right? Where is this place? It's over there, it's over there. It's never right there talking to them. So directions per se is even worse than worse. But these openers that are just general opinions, the problem is you ask the general opinion, they answer, and then you have to restart the conversation by doing another opener, right? Because the opener didn't even qualify as engaging in a real conversation. You are essentially treating the person as a resource for information. You're treating the person as Google rather than as a person, essentially, right? And so you now need to reopen them as a person, and you fundamentally achieved nothing through that first open. Worse yet, the fact that you opened so indirectly in the first place, and then you have to reopen again and show your intention the second time, it makes it look like you're actually hiding your intention, like you were ashamed of opening in the first place. So that can turn out to be very, very bad, can turn out to be not so good. So I actually think that is too indirect. Like that's one that like it's so much on the indirect side that you shouldn't even be considering it at all. Okay, so we have on one end, we have on the direct side over here, we have so super direct you shouldn't be considering it. On the other end, we have so indirect that it's kind of pointless and doesn't get you anywhere. And then in the middle here, we have this range of all these different openers that are potentially useful and good. And in the next video, we're going to talk specifically about if you're a beginner, which of these range of openers should you use? If you're an intermediate, which of these range of openers should you use? If you're advanced, which of these range of openers should you use? And why for each one. All right, so that's coming up in the next video.